All right, I think we're live here. Welcome back, everyone, to Trek Central Weekly, where we talk about the latest and greatest episode of Star Trek and all the hot topics that you guys want to talk about as well. So I'm joined here by Fathery. We've taken over.
Howdy.
We've taken over the ship, Fathery. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, we're like the pirates from last week's episode from the Serene Squall. There's a ship hijack in there, wasn't there?
By the way, I'm dressed as the jester.
You're the jester.
I'm the jester today. But we do have a question for the Hold the jester. We do have a question for the audience. Father and I later on we're going to reveal who we think the jester is. I have an idea of who the jester was.
Okay.
Father does too. I'm not going to say it yet. We'll say it like as we get into the conversation a little. We get the audience to let us know who the jester is. But Father insists it's not the same. I think we have the same person in mind. But Father
I think that we're thinking of two different people because I think mine's a little bit of a deeper cut. But we know that there is a jester on the ship, so it had to be somebody.
It had to be somebody, indeed. Father, why don't we kick it off with your overall thoughts on this episode? Tell us what you thought.
Oh, cool. Well, this episode, what was the name of it again? Elysian or Elijah? I never know if I'm saying that right.
It's Elysian, like the Elysian fields from like.
Okay.
Elysian.
Right. It's like I said on my show, I'm used to seeing that word written. I don't think I have ever said it out loud before this week. So, but yeah, this was the sword and sorcery fantasy episode. Everyone's dressing up like they're going to the Ren Fair or they're LARPing their D&D characters or what have you. And so, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think this might have been my favorite episode of the entire show, actually.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a little surprised, but that's cool. Carry on.
I think the other great thing about this one is that the characters they chose to highlight, the show has been very Pike and Spock centric, and I get it, those are the two most popular characters, those are your two leading dudes, they're the guys that are going to get the most screen time, the most spotlight, the most stories focused around them. We really only see the two of them as their normal characters. We get like that one scene where they're just talking about like, oh, this is so boring, we're not even doing anything interesting. After that, they take a total back seat. They take the coolest dude on the show, Captain Pike, turn him into the lamest character. Spock's still kind of cool, but they put him on like the bad guy side, don't even introduce him till halfway through the episode. So the characters who did get the attention, obviously M'Benga carries the episode phenomenally. Hemmer really shined in this episode. This was the best episode of the season for Hemmer so far. And then Uhura got to really choose some scenery, and Ortegas was a big badass. So I'm one of the hashtag Mortegas people. I think we still haven't gotten enough Erica Ortegas. Hoping that we just need to be patient that our day is coming. But yeah, like the characters who got the most attention here weren't your typical Strange New Worlds characters. So that was another thing to applaud the episode on. I thought it was just very tightly written. I thought it was really great how they were able to take this larger fantasy storybook story. It felt like it was a real story that actually existed, and it shows you just enough of the little breadcrumbs in there that it feels like, oh, that was like a real storybook. And they tell this emotionally moving tale about M'Benga and his kid that had a heartbreaking climax at the end of the episode, and there is a lot of fun to be had along the way. So yeah, it was a great episode for me, great experience. What about you?
Dang, I'm still kind of like processing that this is your favorite episode. I wasn't definitely like almost all the episodes this season for me have been like. Actually, all the episodes this season have been like pretty damn good. Like I think they're all like kind of neck and neck. So I haven't really chosen a favorite yet. So I'll just say that every week has been more or less my favorite. I will say though that I'm not like a huge fan of like like I didn't like I initially didn't like the Robin Hood episode in TNG, for example.
Stupid.
And like oh sorry yeah and like just in general like the whole like the whole like Renaissance fair thing. Although I will say I love the Lower Decks one where they did the Renaissance-y, Billups
Fantasy Planet, yeah.
Fantasy Planet thing, yeah. But initially I'm always kind of like, oh no, here we go, we're gonna do one of these things, and that's kind of like the same feeling I had. But when I watched it again, I have to agree with you that like the performances were stellar. The choice to highlight these characters that are not the mains was awesome as well, and it all fits perfectly with the entity and like kind of like the reason why it's all happening. I was like worried, like what is what's going to be the explanation, like is this all like a hallucination, because they kind of suggested that it might be when the spray or whatever, the smoke that
right, the red herring of the 3QM in chemical, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like a little worried that that was the direction they were going to take us, but the episode ended up pleasantly surprising me, as many episodes of Strange New Worlds do. They're all so good, and so I have to say I enjoyed it a lot. But I don't know if I can categorize it my favorite. I'm like a little reluctant to do that, but it is a damn good episode, so I have to agree with that. The highlight for me was definitely the Dr. Mbenga story. I did think that maybe we let go of Rukia a little too soon, but that being said, the ending for her is actually quite lovely. Like, to give her, this dying child the ability to be free of her ailments and be able to in essence evolve into this like non-corporeal non-linear being was pretty cool, and I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, bittersweet, exactly. Just like just like this episode does a great job of being really fun, but also being really heart-wrenching, as the title of our video here today. So yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, let's get down to it. So like, what do you think the implication is for Dr. Mbenga going forward? Like, do you think this is it? Like, we'll not hear about Rukia again, or do you think this is that? Do you think there's going to be more?
I think it's going to have to come up from time to time. I don't know if it'll be something that's like, anytime they do something serious with Mbenga, they're going to have to talk about like, oh, how I lost my daughter and all this stuff. But I think that it'll be a recurring thread whenever it's relevant to maybe like another character is going through something, and Mbenga can like help coach them through it and talk about his past trauma, or what happened when he had to make his tough choice or his sacrifice and stuff like that. The show doesn't tend to forget things like that. How many times have they brought up things like Pike dealing with his future, or La'an dealing with her past, or so the show has a good memory. It doesn't forget things.
I like that.
So, but it won't be as prominent. It'll be a little bit more in the back seat, and maybe they'll do like other developments with Mbenga. Maybe someone else will get a recurring plot thread. Who knows? There was kind of a 3-episode arc with Rukia. She's brought up in these 3 different episodes, and they resolved things with her very quickly. I was thinking it would be dragged on a little bit longer, but I think it had a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah, I think in my kind of like perusal online, I saw a lot of mixed feelings about the fact that Rukia was living her life in the way that she was. Like, a lot of people seemed to understand, but also like were kind of concerned that Rukia was in the transporter. So I guess I feel like resolving it faster than not might be better. But I also kind of want it to linger.
That was possibly the most unpopular choice the show had made so far. I remember, as soon as that episode Ghost of Illyria came out, week 3 of the show, I remember there was some discourse online. Some people, they didn't like that. But my thinking then at the time was, with these ongoing storylines, you just have to enjoy the ride and see where it goes. And that was my takeaway. I said, I'm going to hold back. I'm going to reserve judgment until I see what they do with this. And now they're done with it. I'm like, oh yeah, that wasn't bad. In fact, it led to my favorite episode of the season. So cool.
Right on. I love the comment that our moderator Star Trek Pike posted about not crying so hard since the Atreus horse Artex went down in the mud. That is, yeah, that's like
another nasty swamp you don't want to go through unless you can avoid it. That was the swamp of sadness, right?
The
The swamp
swamp
of
of
sorrow or
sadness.
something like
Yeah.
that.
On Text Trek, I heard y'all talking about like the bog of eternal stench and like
Yeah,
all
from
this
Labyrinth, and then the
yes.
Princess Bride has the what was it, fire swamps or something
the
that had the
something like
rodents
that.
of unusual size, and
The
in
Rouses.
in
That's
in the Strange New Worlds we had the swamp of infinite deaths, which led to the great line from Sir Adia, Ortegas's persona, the great line, I would die I would die infinite deaths to not have to hear your whining anymore, or whatever that Ortega said to Pike. I thought was a great moment. They had a
something
lot of
like
cool
that.
exchanges back and forth. Yeah.
You were
Sir
talking about
Roth.
more. You were talking about Mortega's. We're with only 2 episodes left. I really hope we do get like a more
Yeah.
Ortega centric episode.
Maybe
I think it's
time will come in
go ahead.
season 2. I don't know, but it
Who was
might not
seen
be
in that
something we get
leaked?
to.
Who was seen in that leaked season 2 photo with Kirk? Was it Ortega's?
Oh, are we allowed to talk about leaked
I think
stuff?
that's
But
like
I know that
old.
was
Like that's like
all
a
around, but yeah. But
but
that was
was it Ortega?
Christina Chong
Oh, okay, okay.
on
So it's the
location in
okay.
Toronto. Is Christina Chong.
Oh, so I'm guessing that maybe they had like a connection, but it's gonna be La'an. Okay,
But
okay,
I just had a thought. I'm gonna hold off on my. I think I have a season 2 theory, but this is not the week for me to drop it, so I'm gonna hold off on that.
Something to look
Yeah,
forward
just
to.
had a little light bulb go off on top of my noggin just now. But yeah, we'll stick a pin in that for now.
Going to the other character. So Ortega's character, the Knight, was pretty cool in this episode, and I really enjoyed like that they even got a chance to like actually have a sword fight, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. I've armed myself. Another great moment.
I haven't been able to confirm this, but I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings as well, and it looks like Ortegas' sword might have been either
Starfall.
Strider. Yeah, I think is that Strider's sword, right? No.
What's the name of that sword? The one that he had at the beginning of the Fellowship.
Yeah, I think that was Strider's original sword. Yeah, exactly. Like not
Isildur's sword.
Yeah, not
fancy name.
Not the sword that was broken and reforged, which is called
right. I don't remember the name of the first
when Strider
one.
has it, when it's reborn, it's called the Flame of the West, and I forget what. Oh darn, I'm such a bad Lord of the Ringers here, but before, the Narsil, it was called the Narsil before, and then it was reforged.
Right. Yeah,
it was reforged as Anduril. So yeah, but that's not the sword I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looked like a standard sword to me. I didn't notice anything memorable about it, but it was cool. It had a name. I like swords with names. I like Lord of the Rings. I like Game of Thrones. I like naming swords. That's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. What would you name Ortegas' sword?
Let me think. I don't know. I want to give it like a Texas name. Is like I don't know, Lone Star. Is that too generic? I don't know. I'd have to think of it.
What I would call it Maverick.
Maverick.
She's such a maverick, yeah. So I would call it Maverick, or I might call it like, let me see what's another good name, like
I would call it Big Iron.
What is it?
Big Iron.
Oh, Big Iron's good too. How about like what would you consider like Pike's character, like a sycophant, right? So sycophant slayer or something like that might be fun too. I like Big Iron though. That's pretty cool. So obviously, this was a highlight episode for Dr. Mbenga, but I feel like Hemmer was like a huge player, and I know you've been waiting for Hemmer to come back. You've been missing him hardcore. Yes. What did you think of his return, and then how did it land for you as far as the performance?
Oh, I was so relieved. I was having Hemmer withdrawals. Having to go 3 weeks without Hemmer just felt cruel. Shame on Strange New Worlds for ever doing that to me, but I guess it was worth the wait. He had a lot of fun moments. Obviously, the abracadabra moment that they build up to was the highest of the Hemmer joy, but it was also just fun to see him be, a good engineer for a little bit. He helps with like the problem solving, figure out the Boltzmann brain, locating Rukia, having to work with Mbenga. I don't know if they ever had like any dialogue between each other before. So just like the two of them being kind of randomly, I know it's not random, it's like his telepathy is the reason why he was immune to the possession that everyone else suffered from, but just the fact that the two of them are the ones thrown together to go on like this little buddy adventure, and he was a good sidekick. He helped Mbenga out along the way and was the highlight of the episode for me.
Your last interaction that I can remember wasn't so great because Hemmer was just trying to do his job and poke around in the transporter.
Right. Yeah,
and Dr. Mbenga he's like straight up yells at him. He's like, "Leave it alone," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
they
it was
were
good to see
each other then.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good to see them working together. Now, interestingly, Hemmer was immune to the initial possession, but like when he was finally possessed, which by the way, we have to talk about the antenna moving at some point. But
antenna movement.
Yeah. Yes. Did you happen to catch my theory? Huh?
They finally give us that antenna movement. Haven't seen an antenna move in Trek since 2005. what was your theory?
So I think some NR and Andorians are antenna talkers, like some people talk with their hands and some are not. So that's the reason why some antenna are static and some move. It depends on what kind of Andorian or NR you are. What do you think of that? Like,
I think some of them have certain makeup departments doing their prosthetics, and some have others. But
clearly they're static and they're moving, so they do both. Like this is like a bridge. This is like a bridge, so there is something we have to like take note of this, right?
Well, there's also supposedly 4 different genders of Andorians.
This is
at least according to the novels. The shows have established that there's 4 people involved in an Andorian marriage. You have a 4-way wedding and have I guess like this 4-way partnership and marriage. So maybe some genders have movable antennae and some don't. Maybe that's the explanation, because we never really know like what the 4 genders are, right?
I would go with that, but we never see we see Hemmer static otherwise. So his antenna were moved by like some kind of, because of the possession, it like kind of like jolt. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe he also moves his antennae when he has other sensations. But anyways, in this, it's evident that he holds his antenna in place, but they can move. So I don't know. There's something up with that. But I like your gender theory. I do want to see that on screen. I do want to see gender and Andorian gender stuff come into play. But aside from that, aside from the antenna moving, I thought it was great that Hemmer was finally back too, because I really like that character. But what is your theory on why he was immune, but then later he doesn't remember anything after the possession? Like he actually lost his memory of everything, because he says
they all do though.
Like everyone except, yeah, you're right, that's true, everyone loses their memory of everything, but Hemmer was never possessed. So like I find it interesting that the entity erased even his non-possessed.
Well, he accepted it in, he like allowed it to enter his brain at the end. So
true.
I feel like that was why. It didn't really stand out to me as unusual or anything. Although I thought it was so tragic that he forgot his cool catchphrase abracadabra, because wouldn't it be amazing if whenever he does a cool engineering feat and he wants to be all cocky and showy about it, he just says abracadabra, and then he fixes the warp drive or whatever. Like how beautiful could that have been? But he's forgotten it tragically.
He's gotta have it. Maybe Dr. Mbenga will remind him of it. Like maybe he'll be like,
I know you don't remember this, but one time you said abracadabra and it was like the coolest thing ever. So you should do that. You just look at him like, what the hell does that even mean? Abracadabra? Is that some human word? I don't have time for this, doctor.
I love the way he did it too. It's like abracadabra. Like he was just so dramatic.
We gotta talk about Bruce Horrick, the Canadian legally blind actor who I think he's bound to be having just like the time of his life as Hemmer, right? Like, you know, how many roles does he get where he's going to be one of the regulars on a big high budget science fiction show like this with this huge fan base? You know, he's gonna, for the rest of his life, Star Trek fans are gonna like know him as Hemmer, as this really cool blind character, you know, representing that disability. I think that's really special. And yeah, he had to have been just having like the time of his life, getting to do all the cool showy Hemmer playing Castor the Wizard.
And I don't remember if it was on here or if it was you, Jack, or Dom, so forgive me, but I do remember one of you all pointing out how cool it is because, you know, Spock on the original series was kind of like the alien character, but we have that opportunity now with Hemmer to explore, like, you know, of course have had Andorians on Enterprise, but they weren't a series regular like this. So this is a really
like the Spock of the show, right? He's the outsider alien.
That,
yeah, I mean, like, you know, Spock was obviously that for the original series. I've been saying this all season long that, you know, kind of every show has their Spock, has like their outsider. Spock on the original series, obviously, but, you know, Next Generation, you have Data, Deep Space Nine, you have Odo, Voyager, you have the Doctor, and then later Seven of Nine. So they kind of always have like this tradition of having that, you know, Saru, having like that strange alien who's very, very different. Spock can't be that anymore after 56 years. We've explored so much of Spock. He's a great character. He's arguably the most iconic Star Trek character ever. But because we've explored him so much, he doesn't feel weird or alien. You know, he's not like a strange new life, new civilization. He's familiar. He's one of the crew. So Hemmer was their new Spock for Strange New Worlds in that sense.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm looking forward to getting more. Maybe we'll even go back to his homeworld and, you know, have some scenes there and stuff like that next season. It'll be pretty cool. Let's see. So the other thing in this episode that was interesting was, like, I liked the way that the Entity decorated the ship, like not quite completely changing it into a, you know, medieval castle and forest setting, but like just like kind of doing these like decorations here and there. It reminded me a little bit of the episode Masks, where like the ship is slowly transforming and it's in like a transitionary period between like what it's going to become, and so you still see ship parts and stuff like that.
The Next Generation episode.
Yeah, exactly.
For people who aren't familiar with Masks, but yeah, that's a lot of people really hate that episode. But then I found out
I love that.
Some people love it. Some people love. I mean, I love Move Along Home. So who am I to judge? Right?
I actually love it too. Alan Moraine.
Count to 4, Alan Moraine, then 3 more. But
I mean, yeah, it's true.
This episode reminded me of Our Man Bashir, the Deep Space Nine episode, because in that episode, everyone thought they were James Bond characters, except for Bashir and Garrick. They knew what was going on. They knew it was all make-believe. No one else did. Here, it's like that, but with Mbenga and Hemmer, and everyone else is totally possessed. It's also reminiscent of the tradition, goes all the way back to the original series, of the episodes you do where you borrow wardrobe and props from another genre. You know, TOS gave us a Western episode, World War II episode, Roman Gladiator episode. So it's like that same thing, except here, you know, they went with fantasy. With, you know, here's like the high fantasy episode where we go and like borrow the swords and the armor and the candles and torches and all of that stuff from, you know, the Queen's dress and the throne and all of that, and we borrow that from some other production. Originally it was a cost saving technique. Same thing with doing a bottle show on the Enterprise where people get possessed, right? Star Trek's done that quite a few times. You know, you remember Power Play Next Generation, where Riker, O'Brien, Troy, and who's the other, Data, they got possessed by the
oh yeah,
aliens that,
and Troy,
they said they were the USS Essex.
Bad voice.
So, you know, they sometimes they save money by not bringing on guest stars. You just have your crew members get possessed. So that's a thing Star Trek has gone to a few times. So yeah, I don't think Strange New Worlds has that issue. I mean, they obviously have some budgetary restraints like every TV show, but they have a lot amount of freedom, and the AR will also grants them a lot of freedom. But it's cool that they still have like these stories, these types of stories that were created in Star Trek and are kind of staples of Star Trek that were created there to like, hey, what can we do to like save money this week? Oh, I don't know. Let's go borrow the Nazi uniforms from the World War II movie and do like a Nazi planet episode, stuff like that.
It's a really
Gangster
great
planet episode. That was a thing,
Yeah.
right?
shout out,
Our
shout out
friend
to
Dom.
a piece. Yeah, and a piece of the action.
Dom's favorite episode, if I'm not mistaken.
And he has garnered a new appreciation for that episode in me. I actually love that episode a lot more. Someone's mentioning, I think Hold the Jester mentioned Cat Spa, which was kind of like a little bit of the medieval kind of vibe there, Renaissance-y, right? They had like
and like witchy. It was meant to be like a Halloween episode.
Yeah. It's
like, oh yeah, let's go borrow the fake skeletons from the scary movie set down here. And
it is interesting that you noted how it used to be like a money saving technique to do that, like borrow the costumes from another production and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's totally different. And as a matter of fact, if you all have a chance to go check out the Ready Room with Will Wheaton, there's a great feature on the costumes and the wardrobe and the making of these costumes. I don't know why I blurted costumes in that manner, but but there's a cool featurette on it. And there was a lot of great intricate work put into the costumes. We had the privilege of seeing Sir Adia's costume as well as Princess what was it? Thalia's that's the name of La'an's character, right? Thalia, right?
Princess Talia.
Talia, yeah.
That gigantic gown that she has.
Yeah, and you remember how beautiful that thing was in person? Like it like shimmered and reflected exactly like that. It was like super cool, yeah.
As shiny as it looks on the show and in like pictures and stuff, somehow it's like even like more shiny in real life. It was really weird looking. I mean, like cool looking.
Cool and we saw weird. Stunning, I would say.
Sir Adia costume was also on display that Melissa Navia wore.
I remember seeing those and like just wondering like how is this gonna play into to the series, and now we know, which is pretty cool. So yeah, the featurette on that, and as well as Rukia's dress that she's wearing, they put a lot of work. It's made of like organza, and it's apparently like really hard to dye it and still make it like reflective and stuff like that. And Braxton pointed out one of TrekCore's tweets showing that there's a coincidental similarity between Rukia's dress, like the gradient, and the poster for Star Trek Beyond. So I thought that was pretty funny as well. So yeah.
Yeah, they should let that little girl keep that dress.
Oh, hell yeah. It's true.
I mean, when will they ever reuse that? When are they ever going to reuse that in Star Trek? It ain't like they're going to bring her back. Like, she's grown up now. So
it's true. It's funny you say that because this dress is so unique. Like, it would 100% be recognized on a future episode, right? If someone else wore it. So yeah, I think they should give it to her as a gift.
They'll probably like auction it off in 10 years or something. But I mean, come on, just let the kid have it.
What did you think of grown up Rukia and her outfit was pretty cool. So she looked like like an astronaut almost.
I thought she looked like a mummy. Like she had like mummy wrap around her. Like I don't know. It looked weird to me, but I was just more into like the emotion of that's so tragic that he missed all of her childhood, all of her life, but in return he was able to save her and give her this wonderful fantasy existence. At the beginning of the episode, when he's doing his doctor's log and talking about how she doesn't have much time left, I'm having to do like all this research while we're patrolling around this nebula because I don't have anything else to do, and like the clock is really ticking, I need to figure out something soon. So you're kind of like, oh wow, this is either going to have a happy ending or a very sad ending. And then you get to the end, it's like, well, you get both. It is both happy and tragic. You know, he saves the kid, but he also has to say goodbye to her. And when she comes back as an adult, that I think is the biggest emotional gut punch. That's when Mbenga himself starts to break down and cry. When I did my live show, some of my audience told me that was the moment when they were crying watching this. So yeah, that was definitely an intense moment. And just talking about like the budget and stuff, like that one scene of adult Rukia, that's like the only time they bring on a guest star in this entire, so it's like they shot that in one day, so that was it. So I guess some of those cost saving techniques, you know, they still kind of pay off. Everyone else is at least a recurring character, like Mitchell, you know, Lieutenant Mitchell, who sits at the ops station a lot. She was like the leader of the Crimson Guard.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Even a minor side character got some fun stuff to do.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with that. We have a question in the audience from Star Trek Pike, which is, could Mbenga go back and visit Rukia? I wonder if he will. I mean, you know, like the Nebula is like a place you could come back to if you wanted to. So that's a good. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, the door is totally open. Because I was wondering, like, you know, earlier, like we were talking, like I was wondering if they would just let the Rukia thing go, but like, yeah, maybe he takes his shore leaves or his vacation time and goes and he could hang out with Rukia, and that would be and like she could be like, she could bring him into the fantasy world for a little bit or something like that. It'd be cool.
Or if they have like if they need her help with something, or you know how there was the short trek, remember short treks back when that was a thing, where Tilly became friends with Poe. Yes. The queen of that planet. They went back to her when they needed her help later in season 2 of Discovery. So, I mean, I think they could also, you know, bring back Rukia in that sense if they have to return to this nebula for something. I would even be interested if, like, one of the books had, like, a later ship. Like, what if, like, the Enterprise D came here, and like Picard and Crusher and Worf, they meet Rukia or something, or you know, it could be like, you know, it could happen like in Discovery or something. Maybe they use Rukia for that big crossover Alex Kurtzman keeps teasing us about. Like maybe they'll cross over with Discovery through Rukia. I don't know, but yeah, that door is definitely the cargo bay doors or whatever on the on Space Dock in Star Trek 3 that you, when you steal the Enterprise, you have to back out. Like those hangar bay doors are wide open for them to do that in the future.
You gave me goosebumps when you mentioned that Rukia could somehow be part of this like crossover event, because I had like a quick little vision of Rukia going back and forth, like, you know, because she's non-linear and non-corporeal, so she could easily like, you know, like be involved somehow. It's pretty cool.
The crossover is going to be like the Borg are about to attack and Pike is there, and then Pike gets like this little message on the comms, and it's the voice of Beckett Mariner saying "on your left," and then all these wormholes open and like every Starfleet crew ever comes through.
I'm really digging. I'm really digging that idea. I also want to see some of the cast of Lower Decks get live action cameos. That would be an amazing type of thing. That would be pretty.
They already got the uniforms, right? We saw that in
Chicago.
Know
that was something else we saw in Chicago. It's pretty cool.
Dressing up as live action versions of the characters.
Audience, quick reminder, if you haven't already done it, please smash the like button, because it'll help us confound the YouTube algorithm, and we love to confound that algorithm as well. So please, if you haven't done it, do that. And I think it's about that time where we reveal our jester, Father. Do you think it's that time now?
Sure. Well, I want to say some speculation from the audience. So if you're watching us live, please chime in and comment. Like, who do you think was the jester of the episode, the unseen jester, the cloaked jester?
I agree.
He was a Romulan.
We had some folks. We had some folks earlier say that it could be Sam Kirk, I think, and I saw someone point out earlier that they wanted it to be Kyle. So that was something I heard. But yeah, let's hear some more. We'll hold off on this a little bit more. What else can we say about this episode that we haven't said already?
I love whenever there's there's super memorable episodes, you know, like episodes where you watch 30 seconds of it and you're like, oh, that's the trouble with tribbles, or oh, that's I don't know, where no one has gone before because there's the traveler. I don't know, but you know, like those ones that have like those like really memorable moments in there, or you know, when people are like in different costumes or something, you know, the things that, like really stand out like that. The ship looks different. So I mean, this is clearly like this is the most like unique and memorable of the season. I think that's part of the reason why I like it so much. But yeah, just it just like executed a lot of things right for me and just hit a lot of buttons. And yeah, I'm not really sure what else I can do other than to say like I loved almost every choice about it. Oh, I can tell you the things I disliked, I guess.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the things that didn't work. Yep.
Which isn't much. Two tiny little nitpicks. One is just the editing, presentation, execution side of things. I did not like how every time M'Benga met a new character from the novel, it flashed that picture from the storybook. Yeah. Like he would be like, "Oh, you're Sir Roth," and it flashes like a picture of Sir Roth from the book. Like after the third or fourth time it did that, I was like, "Okay, that's getting kind of old." Like I get it. Like he's familiar with these people because he read the book to his kid. I don't need you to keep reminding me of that. It got a little distracting after a bit. And the other thing I didn't like was the force field and sick bay felt a little out of place with the original series time period that I am familiar with, but it's a minor little quibble.
That is a minor little quibble, but at the same time, like, I mean, surely they had some form of containment. I wonder how they would have done it. Like probably a glass thing would lower down from like over, like you'd probably work over this glass thing that like lowers down.
Oh, sorry.
What happened? What happened? Did I cut out? Am I there anymore?
No, you're still here. I was trying to mute because my dog was freaking out. Sorry, his mom
I was like, oh no, what's wrong?
His mom just came home.
Gotcha.
But
that's Amos. But yeah, like it might have been like something that you would only work over this area and then it would come down and like seal it.
Or I think I would just have like some type of ventilation system in sick bay or something. But yeah, just it felt a little showy. Felt like, hey, look at our CGI budget. But I mean, minor, tiny little nitpicks. So, but other than those barely mentionable things, I loved pretty much every choice in this episode. You want to talk about Jesters now?
Yeah, so Jesters time. So again, we have an overwhelming it's between Sam and Kyle in the audience, and then someone mentioned
I see Giorgio and Kovic in there. So
yeah, I saw that too. And then someone mentioned the Bolian character, I think I saw.
Right, and Christina. I was thinking that no. Christina was the other girl. The Bolian was I had a different name.
I forget her name.
With the Z.
Yeah. So anyways, I'll reveal mine first. I thought as soon as they mentioned the jester, my thoughts immediately went to Sam Kirk because he's been like a jester this season in a way. So like that's who I immediately thought of.
That was not my pick.
Oh wow, I really thought it was gonna be. Who was your pick?
Do you remember the Gorn episode? The guy who they have sitting in at the security station, Zuniga. Everyone for some reason complained about that guy's acting. I felt so bad for him. I was like, I think he's fine. Like he kind of like got a little over the top there at the end.
He was like
his big
so
excited.
He's like, yes.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe he's the jester. You know, everyone forgot about him, but I did. I remembered.
Dang, that's a good one. I like that one. I think
I told you it was a deep cut.
That is a deep cut. Like, what do you guys think of Father's
left? I cut deep.
What do you guys think of Father's proposal for the jester? Let's hear about it.
Let me get my bad dog. If y'all want to say hi to him.
Oh, look, there's Amos. Hello, Amos. Very cute.
He's named Amos after another science fiction franchise.
The Expanse.
So, our last dog was named after a Trek character.
I think Captain Jack will be happy about the Expanse reference, so that's good. We got points here with Captain Jack.
Always good to suck up to the captain, right?
Yes, it is.
Now we know how he got promoted. Now we know why he left you in charge today, huh?
That's right. what's out there on the Star Trek news front that we can cover before we say goodbye to our audience for this stream today?
Oh yeah. There was some interesting news this week, wasn't there, with some of the Star Trek tie-in material, specifically the IDW comics. We're actually getting a Star Trek Lower Decks comic book miniseries, which seems like the most obvious thing ever to do, right? I mean, you have a comedic Star Trek show. It's animated. It's already It's cartoony.
It should be one of those like comic strips instead, like in the newspaper, like the Far Side used to be. I feel like Lower Decks would be great as like little comedic comic strips in the newspaper, but that doesn't really, I don't know if that's the thing anymore, but they have a lot of opportunities. But also I'm totally down for a Lower Decks comic, so yeah.
I've been saying they should do that for a long time. They make comics of all the popular animated shows. Rick and Morty have done a lot of comic books, so it always felt like a obvious choice. It's funny because like comedy and sequential art is very different. You don't have like the same level of like timing or things that you get from the actors. A lot of the voice work does a lot to make the comedy and animation really work. So it's a little bit different when you're just relying on the actual dialogue itself and the visual presentation of the artwork. But I think that's going to be a fun experiment for them to try out. Again, I think it seems like a very obvious idea. I'm almost shocked it took them this long. The Lower Decks is 2 years old at this point, right? It came out in August of 2020. So, but yeah, I'm glad that it's finally here, and I look forward to checking that out.
I'm actually really looking forward to Lower Decks return. I was like thinking about it as like a little.
Me too.
It's already become part of my like.
We'd get a release date.
Well, yeah. So actually, in the audience, Cerulean Blue is asking, "What comes after Strange New World and when? Do we have a break or do we go right into Lower Decks?" As far as I know, nothing's been announced as to when. But Mike McMahon did hint, I think, that like it would be around the same time as it always has, and I think Lower Decks hits.
He straight up said.
Oh, he said it. Okay.
He said it'll be
Lower
the
Decks
same
will
time.
come out in August then, right?
Unless there's been some type of delay that he didn't anticipate. Sometimes these showrunners don't know because it's actually decided by Paramount Plus distribution. We're the ones that I guess have like the final say on like what comes out when. But Mike McMahon was certainly, when we saw him in Chicago, he was certainly under the impression then that it would come out the same time as the last two seasons, which, yes, they were both August.
So yeah, we can look forward to that in August. But then I guess the most logical thing would be probably Star Trek Prodigy. So maybe Star Trek Prodigy is lined up for next.
Those are I don't know if there's time to get Prodigy out before Lower Decks. That was my initial theory. Months ago, I was speculating that they would drop some Prodigy in between Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, because you got about a 5-week gap there where you could not do all 10 of the remaining season 1 Prodigy episodes, but you could do half of them and then do half later. But I don't think that's going to be the case now. I think we're just going to, because they've talked more about Lower Decks than Prodigy, right? So I think we're going to get Prodigy after Lower Decks, but those will be the next 2 shows in 2022.
Well, we still have 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks of Strange New World, so who knows? Maybe in the next 2 weeks we'll get some information on that. But you were going to say,
I can tell people where they need to tune in to find out in the coming weeks, because I think it's July 24th thereabouts is San Diego Comic-Con, and Star Trek always has like a big presence there, and Trek Central will be covering San Diego Comic-Con for any mainline Star Trek news. So it's actually the 21st through the 24th. So I guarantee you that we're going to find out something about Star Trek there, and smart money would be if there's going to be like new trailers for Lower Decks and Prodigy, or maybe like release dates. It'll come at San Diego Comic-Con. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and tune in to Trek Central for that coverage.
And follow Trek Central on Twitter and all the other places you can find them, which is pretty cool as well.
All the socials.
All the socials, exactly. Nice. So let's see what else. There's a little bit of speculation going on that some of these characters, could go on to other series. Father, what do you think of that?
Oh, which characters? What are you talking about? On Strange New Worlds?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
it
started
already
cracking
happens
up
though,
because
right? Like
yeah, it's true.
we
Never mind.
know
Let's not go.
we know Uhura and Chapel and Spock all go off to a show called Star Trek: The Original Series. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Right on. We're getting like nice little prompts in the in our from our commander in chief. Sorry I went there, but I thought it would be funny. Yay! CBL already hit the bell for Trek Central so that he gets or they get notifications. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That's
smart
very
person.
Cool. Absolutely. Anything else? Anything else? Maybe do you think at San Diego Comic-Con, do you think any further news, maybe a teaser for the Star Trek film? I doubt it though, right? They haven't even started.
They haven't started shooting.
It's yeah, so
it's unlikely they'll even start shooting that this year. I think production. If production started this year, I'd be very impressed. Carl Urban's already said that that's almost definitely not going to happen because he's busy all year. So he's like, it sounds like all those actors want to do it. They have a script, they have a director, the studio is behind it. They've secured financing, so everything's in place except all these people are just like super busy. So there's definitely a lot of goodwill to do a fourth Kelvin movie. You know, the new Paramount CEO, the Nickelodeon guy who took over the Paramount movies, he's very keen to do like a fourth Kelvin. But yeah, it's just going to be a matter of getting all those actors free. You know, everyone's doing like their own things. Chris Pine's directing his own movies now. You have Zoe Saldana's busy. They're finally like making these Avatar sequels they've been trying to make for a decade. Yeah, but Carl Urban's on a big hit TV show. But yeah, if everyone can like find a time to make their schedules line up, will it happen within the next 6 months though?
Yeah, they all like each other a lot, so it's pretty cool that they want to work together. They want to do it, yeah.
Right, I think like a big part of why they want to do this movie is like, yeah, we haven't like all hung out together in a long time, so we need to do this movie just so we can all hang out. You know, there was a lot of sadness. You know, a lot of the actors have talked about how it seemed very hard and difficult and almost kind of impossible. How could we do another one without Anton Yelchin because of his tragic death that happened from that accident a few years ago? But you know, I think now that they've kind of decided collectively, like, yeah, we really need to get together again. You know, one last time. I would love it to be like a good send off. I kind of don't need a fourth Kelvin movie. I think Star Trek Beyond is a good cap on that trilogy. Great movie, great ending for that version of Star Trek. But if they wanted to set up like a new ongoing crew in there, you know, maybe do a fourth Kelvin movie to like pass the baton off to the next generation. Maybe have like Matt Decker and Ilea, or like some animated series characters like Imres or Eric's. I would love to see something like that. And you kind of can have like Kirk hand the Enterprise off to its new captain, and then Paramount would love that, I'm sure, because then you have the makings of, you know, a new ongoing film franchise, which all the big studios are after these days.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Star Trek has so many potentials and possibilities in terms of like where they could go with movies, but I personally have not been very like, other than like the Kelvin movies, I definitely want another one, so I'm excited about that. But I've been hard pressed to think of like what else Star Trek movie wise could work, but maybe something new and fresh would be the thing, you know.
That would be my preference, but Hibbins, right? Ben Hibbins, the Paramount CEO. You know, let's just be realistic. Let's, you know, be grown-ups about it and look at it realistically. The current dude in charge of Paramount has said that, yeah, there's a lot of research data out there that shows people want a fourth Kelvin movie, so that's what I want to do. So if we get a Star Trek movie anytime soon, it's going to be a fourth Kelvin movie. For me, though, I would love to see something else. I was very curious about the Noah Hawley script that would have been new characters, new cast, and I would have been eager to see what, you know, would be like something brand new and different. But Brian Robbins, I said the wrong name. But
yeah, I was gonna say because Benny
correction.
Bowen is the Prodigy producer, so
right, that's the Prodigy. Okay. Visual. Robbins, they both have like a connection to Nickelodeon. I'm sorry, but glad we have a dude in a chair who is correcting us.
A dude in a chair. I love that. Any
Yeah, I
other news to
wouldn't count
cover?
on.
Wait, what's
Um,
that?
I mean, you said like what would be other like big news that might come out of San Diego. So I wouldn't count on like movie news, but possibly a teaser trailer for Picard season 3. That's
Season
all
3.
shot. They're deep into post production on that. So I think that is a safe bet that we might see something for Picard season 3. It's not like a guarantee. They might save that for New York Comic Con or even Star Trek Day on September 8th. They're going to do like a big
Oh, they might
presentation
actually
again.
do that. That's true. I think they'll. I think if we don't get it at San Diego, we'll definitely get it there. And our dude in the chair says, if they show the new ship, God help us all. And it's true. I think everyone that'll break the internet if they do that. There's been hints of a new
Yeah.
ship, so yeah. So we'll
But they
see.
got a lot of stuff to hold. I mean, they could just like show like here's a picture of Worf in Picard season 3. That'd be enough. I'd go crazy over that.
That would break
So,
the internet. It's true. It's
yeah.
true. Cool.
The
Audience,
Picard
any
season 3 marketing will be very fun, very interesting.
audience, get in your last minute questions or thoughts. We love all the interaction. This has been really fun. Father, anything else that comes to mind for you to talk about before we end today?
I just want to remind everyone that they could see more of our beautiful faces by subscribing to our YouTube channels. So I'm gonna throw some links down in the chat, but please, everyone, give a subscribe to Starfleet Boy and give a subscribe to me over on Text Trek. Starfleet Boy, do you want to remind people when they can find you?
Yeah, sure. You can just search Starfleet Boy on everything. I come up, but I'm most active on Twitter and YouTube. So check us out there. Before we go, there's one thing. Next week looks crazy. Have you seen the teaser for it? You don't usually watch teasers, right?
Oh, yeah, the teaser for next week. Oh, I'm so glad you said something. Yeah, because there's been some images. I haven't seen the teaser trailer for it, but I've seen some images circulating online, and so yeah, it looks like we're getting the crashed Connie or something similar to a Connie at least. Looks like there might be some certain reptile creatures running through the wreckage of a Starfleet ship. We've seen that in some of the trailers before, so who knows? A lot of people seem to think Baby Gore, and I saw that pop up in the chat. So
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons you would think that, right? So we've heard about like hatchlings, and this season we've heard about what is it like, like just like we've heard a lot about this. So it's very likely that might be a baby Gorn or something.
yeah, Alex Kurtzman talked about we would get more Gorn in season 1, so it's gonna
Yeah,
be in one of these
exactly.
last 2 episodes. Looks like next week might be a likely Gorn return of the Gorn.
Return of the Gorn, maybe. Yeah, let's see. Definitely come back and check us out next week to hear what we have to say about it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's see here. Next week's episode looks very interesting, very alien. We're wondering who on the crew know about Rukia, and will they continue to keep her secret? As far as I know, it's just Una. Like, I don't even think Nurse Chapel knows about Rukia.
Right, yeah, it was just a secret between Mbenga and Una, is the way I interpreted that.
Maybe he'll talk about Rukia at some point. I mean, there's a lot of implications that we.
I think it's gonna come up. It's gonna come up at some point.
There's a lot of
Like I
things.
said, the show doesn't forget stuff like that, so
It doesn't. It doesn't tend to. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. But I think only Una knows. I want to hear TT's theory for season 2 Strange New Worlds, please. Oh no, you'll have to wait.
Let's get through season 1.
Season 1, yeah. Sorry, Cake is Eternal.
Maybe in these next 2 episodes will prove or disprove my theory. So maybe let me. I can give you a better version of the theory in 2 weeks. All good things come to those who wait, right?
Yes, and on that note, thank you everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun taking over the Trek Central stream. I think Captain Jack won't be too disappointed in us. I don't know. What did you all think? And we'll see you same time, same place next week.
Yeah, if you're watching this later and you liked us and thought we did a good job, leave a comment and let us know.
Absolutely, yes. All right. live long and prosper, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Man in the chat.